I've forgotten how to.
What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that we're in the studio. It's been a minute. We've just been like doing this Zoom style, but now Lee Hudson is in from England, so he pulled up. So then we decided, let's risk it all and go in the studio. Like, Lee got nothing to live for. His team's at the bottom of the table anyway. So, you know, I'm taking ideas from someone who's about to get relegated. So that's where I'm at. And I'm going to introduce everybody else. I just want to like throw the topics out. We got Manchester United beating West Ham at home in the FA Cup to get to the next round after winning the Carabao Cup. Was that midweek? On the weekend, yeah. And then we got Southampton losing to Grimsby. Is it Grimsby?
Grimsby, yeah. We don't have to talk about that.
We're talking about it. They lost to a train stop.
yeah. If you can't say the name of the team right, then you shouldn't be losing to them.
You know that's a train stop. Like, I've been in England, and sometimes you like coming up next, Grimsby, like some town like that. That's how you know it exists. So Southampton loses in the FA Cup. Gets knocked out. Martin's here, so we're definitely going to talk about Spurs losing to Sheffield. Is it United in the FA Cup?
Oh, yeah. We
getting knocked out. And you didn't lose anything midweek, but that doesn't mean you ain't going to lose something this weekend.
You can't lose. That's the only way we don't lose.
So we got Neil Chakravarty, Chelsea fan. He's in town. Stand-up comic. We got Lee Hudson, stand-up comic all the way from England, Southampton fan. And we got Martin Harris, actor. You see him in a ton of movies and TV shows like Stranger Things, and he's a Chelsea fan. And
what?
Sorry. My bad. I'm getting all the losers mixed up. I'm sorry. See, he's a Spurs fan. All the losing teams
from London. We watched the game last weekend. Who lost?
Ian's got real cocky since United started.
Yeah. I'm the only one wearing the team shirt. My team
shirt. Up until you bring up the title challenge.
Yeah.
This is the funeral fit in Southampton. That's what this is.
That is the right color you should be all black. I mean, I gotta talk some. Everybody's so down. I have to talk some shit to like get some fight out of you guys because you're so down. So I'm not even trying to be cocky. I'm just doing this for the podcast. Like I am surprised where United is at, but still, I'm just like these guys. When you can feel the depression in the chat. When we're just doing it on the phone. Like there's no fighting there, so I gotta talk shit. So. What should we talk about first out of all of these topics? About
Arsenal top of the league, so
Arsenal's top of the league.
That one because they deserve it.
Yeah, and they beat Everton, and I watched the game, and Arsenal just comes out flying, and they made some tweaks where they don't start Nketiah anymore. The last few games they could put Trossard where Martinelli was, and Martinelli where Nketiah was, false nine, and they got we got two-footed goddamn Saka on his side, and Jorginho, like if you want to fire a player up that gets like undue who gets done wrong at Chelsea, send him to another London team and he'll step up. And he's following in the footsteps of Willian. He's with Arsenal, and he's like, "I'm gonna win the league, suckers. Good luck, because y'all got rid of me." So he put in a good shift, and Saka, scored the first goal, put that ball in the upper right hand corner over the goalkeeper. And so, what do you think? Do you think? I know everybody asks this question, and it's such a typical question, but what do you think of Arsenal's chances of holding on to this lead?
Well, I have a friend who is a very close Arsenal fan since I know him, which is almost 15 years, and he feared there was a moment when they were losing points and it looked bleak. And I think the breakthrough game was the game against Leicester when they salvaged 3 points in the stoppage time, and I think like they are back on track right now. They still have to play City one more time, and I think they will play Chelsea, which will be Chelsea can spoil it. Like they did spoil for us when we lost the championship to Leicester. Now you can spoil it for Arsenal because if you beat them, they might lose the title. And that will be an important game. And I think they still have to Liverpool to play from top teams. So it's still not like a given they're going to win a title, but they're in much better position than they were 3-4 weeks ago. And obviously it's a young team, it's a hungry team. I think they bought well. They added some pieces that are useful because their bench was very short, but both Trossard and Jorginho really help. It's 2 extra players that can play in big games, and I think they have a shot for sure.
Go ahead. I was just looking at their schedule to see, because I feel like they got a lot of winnable games.
Do they have like more big games than City?
Well,
Chelsea.
For them.
Well, Chelsea doesn't matter.
For them,
it's a derby. It's a derby.
They got Bournemouth coming up, and out of the Premier League, they have Sporting. So I guess that's in the Europa League. Then they have Fulham, who's tough. Then they have Sporting again. Then they got Crystal Palace, who could cause some trouble, but you expect Arsenal to get past them, and then playing it against their ex-player is Crystal Palace's coach. Then they got Leeds, who Leeds be like dropping points like crazy to people. And they make it look close, but they drop points.
Well, the last time I saw them, they didn't drop points.
Okay, that was against Chelsea.
No, it was against us.
Against Southampton,
But, I mean,
So before they face City, how many big, like quote-unquote big teams do they have to play?
Before they face City, let me see. Let me scroll this back.
I know they played Chelsea, I think, in the last game of the season, or Liverpool.
So that's fine.
Fulham is the toughest team, and maybe Liverpool.
So they have Liverpool.
And then you said big teams?
Yeah, like
Tough.
the top 6, like the big 6, right?
So Liverpool ain't even in there.
Well, no, at least like the historical big 6.
Historical, you're giving Liverpool historical respect. All right, that's cool. So Liverpool,
They've played both North London derbies this season, haven't they?
Yeah, they beat us twice for the first
yeah.
time in like, I don't know how long time ago. They beat us twice.
And
It's fair and square.
City, do they have any... who has basically a tougher schedule before they have that 6-pointer?
Let me go back. The funny thing with City makes some games tough.
Yeah.
Like there's games that they should just win outright that they normally would,
Well,
and you
they
can't even count on it.
Who they dropped points to this year? Like they drew with Everton at home, they lost to Brentford.
Nottingham,
at home.
they just lost points to Nottingham.
They drew with Nottingham Forest, yeah. So you can't even look at their schedule really and say they're going to do this or that. And the Arsenal thing, I think it's interesting because they had that wobble a few weeks ago where they lost to Everton. They drew with who did they draw with? They drew with someone they shouldn't have drawn with, and then they lost to City. So every team has that. I think when they're chasing a title, there's very few teams that are just relentless from start to finish. They'll have that little dip, and it'll be interesting to see whether that dip is just their only dip, and if they're strong now to the end of the season, or if they have another one. Because if they have another one, I think that's when City will get them. But it'll be interesting.
And you'd expect this Arsenal team, this young manager, to have a dip, right? Like you don't expect them to have that kind of consistency that Man City, Liverpool have shown over the past few years. So, but I thought they're going to fall away after that Man City game, and versus Villa, they went behind, I think, twice.
Mm-hmm. That was the Villa game.
The Villa game. They went behind twice, and then Jorginho hits that shot, it goes in, and they win it. Like, that's the kind of game you look back at the end of the season. Maybe, you're falling down, and then you got up.
Yeah, and like Martin said though, like Jorginho and Trossard, they're 2 proven Premier League players. They're experienced players. They can come in. They're both internationals as well. Like they can come in and steady that ship. Whereas without those two, if they had any injuries, that squad, like you say, with those young players, that dip might have gone on longer. And it might have been a problem for them. Whereas I think they were 2 really smart buys, because I don't think it cost them a lot of money to get those 2 guys in either. So really smart business from Arteta.
Because Chelsea pretty much threw away Jorginho. They've been like, you can have him.
No, I mean, he was nearing the end of his contract. We had 6 months. Otherwise, you lose him on a free. So there's nothing more we
How
could have
old is
done.
Jorginho?
What's that? He's above 30.
It's about 30.
So he's like probably 31.
But you guys
perfect age right now.
Never respected him, pretty much.
Well, it depends,
after the
like,
first 5 games with you guys, when he arrived with Sarri, and then once teams started to like, let's stay on him. The first 5 games, I've never seen like a fan base love a player so much. And then right after that, once one team decided to put a man on him, and he looked kind of slow because with a man on him, the whole base
I think it's a
jumped
combination
off
of things, right? Like he also had a huge person to follow. Like he was following Cesc Fabregas in that role, and Fabregas was amazing for Chelsea. And Sarri pretty much, you're talking about the first 6 games. Essentially what happened is you entered till the midpoint of the season. Sarri essentially got rid of Fabregas because he wanted to play Jorginho all the time.
Right.
And a fan base that is so much in love with Fabregas, there's always going to be a little bit of friction Jorginho's collateral damage. It's just that a lot of people didn't like Sarri's kind of like laborious style of playing. I had no problem with it personally. But the thing is, Jorginho, I think he's great with like a good partner. It's just that he plays in the deepest position on the midfield, and you can physically hustle him. You can, right? Like he plays in the position of a DM while not being a DM. So obviously there's gonna be so many games and instances where like you can point a finger at him. So
your DM shouldn't be able to be DM'd.
Out DM. Yeah.
Well, I think like the fact that I think he probably suits Arteta's style of football more right now. I think that's why that move's been good for him, because Arteta's obviously very heavily possession based style of football. Potter can be at times, but not always. He's sort of still figuring it out. I think he changes from week to week. It seems.
Potter's team gets the ball when they're taking it out of the back of their net, and the possession is theirs. And
I think something like Jorginho, you kind of, and I think you're right. Like Arteta's used him in a really nice way. You kind of need to use him in a way to cover his flaws and make sure his skills. So even at Chelsea, you remember the Europa League run, the Champions League run. He was amazing in those because he had a fit Kante next to him. So he could go do his thing and Kante would just scoop everything else up.
Yeah, well, he's in a double pivot with Xhaka.
Arsenal,
so he's kind of someone there.
But they're kind of similar. Without Partey and Xhaka and Jorginho, aren't like Jorginho and Xhaka kind of similar? Like, don't they both come forward?
Xhaka's going to go and kick people and fight. He's the ball winner. Xhaka's added more to his game recently. Like, he does go forward more now, it seems. But he was
always a good passer.
But he's the enforcer in there next to him. Yeah. Jorginho's the ball player.
But I see Xhaka a lot forward, especially in those early Arsenal games, like setting up Partey who comes out the back. But I guess Arsenal's line is so high, everybody's just up. Is that what it is?
I think that's he can also shoot. He can also shoot from outside Xhaka. He's a very strong shot.
He's got cannon of a left foot.
Yeah, but one thing about Jorginho that especially people here in this country like to talk about, so-called the championship pedigree. The guy is a proven winner. That's beyond any doubt. And how much it matters, you can see by Casemiro in United. That you add a proven winner and he changes completely the complexion of the team. And sometimes that brings us the confidence up. And I think that's one of the reasons Arsenal got him, because they don't have like proven winners. It's a young team.
Also,
and then someone comes who won everything, and it's like he's got respect. I'm sure he's got respect in the locker room.
Like this is a guy who, no matter what you could talk about him as a player, off the pitch, like mentally and like dressing room vibes wise, everybody's only had good things to say about him.
So why do Chelsea fans hate him?
Well,
like you're telling me all these positives.
No.
Let me ask you a question. What did Cess win for y'all?
2 Premier Leagues in 3 seasons.
All right.
And he was almost gonna break Ozil's record of most assists. Oh, sorry, was it Ozil's record or was it Henry's record of most assists in a season? And so and Jorginho, historically has never had goal contributions to his name. So but I mean, he was just unlucky. He played in a Chelsea team which had so many scope of people pointing fingers at everybody. So he's not the only one, though. Who among Chelsea players in the last 3 or 4 years has had an unblemished record? Probably only Thiago Silva. So he's gotten it, but a lot of people have gotten it.
And Hazard had a green card, passport, citizenship, everything. Like, y'all don't mess with him. He's royalty. So Arsenal, they're doing good. It's tough. Like, I go back and forth. Like, it's like it's on a weekly basis. I can't call this. Like, in my mind, I'm counting on the professionality of Man City, and they've been here before, and they're only 5 points behind Arsenal, these green players who've never been in this position before. So I'm like, until the last day of the season, like, I won't know who's going to do this. Is City the bounty hunters that that they can catch Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, like track them anywhere and hunt them down to the last game of the season. They've done this before. This is their thing.
Yeah.
Or is it going to be these young dudes that ran out on Everton yesterday and just, it's like a swarm of locusts in a field of wheat. They just destroy the crop.
Is the Chelsea the last game they play? Is it the final game of the season? Arsenal-Chelsea?
No, let me see.
Because if it is, then I'm going to ask you, Neil, how you will feel about that. Potentially spoiling the title. You think that would matter to Chelsea players?
Well, I mean, I would think the league would be decided by then. It's very rare, like, it comes down to the absolute last game. I know it has happened between Man City and Liverpool a couple of times.
I think Arsenal's last game is Wolves.
Yeah. Wolves?
Chelsea's like April 29th.
Yeah, then it'll be a big game, and I obviously want us to get those 3 points.
Like 4 games after that or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's a big game. Yeah, I think they can drop points against Chelsea. I really do.
All right, let me ask you
but
guys.
This is not, Martin. Like, this is not the Chelsea team that took points off you.
Yeah, but
that was a Chelsea team sandwiched between 2 title-winning Chelsea.
Yeah, but
seasons.
you also finished like 11th or 12th.
I know, but like we had players, like even.
Well, you have
look at our
good
performance
players,
versus Spurs. Like, these are not players who seem like they got it, how big an occasion it is, a London derby. So I'm not holding out for a lot.
Mason Mount will show up to play.
Sure,
those guys.
Yeah, but
whether he signs a new contract or not.
Yeah.
There's rumours he might be off right now, and he's not starting many games, is he, at the moment?
He's lost his starting spot.
Yeah,
which is strange.
No, he hasn't been well. He has been playing well this season.
He normally has these moments in other seasons, but Chelsea doesn't normally have the players to like sit him out. It's like normally you'd be like, Mason Mount ain't that good, then he plays a lot.
Yeah.
And then he'll start like getting into it and do good, and then you'll be like, oh, he's good. You forget that he had that period. But now if you have a bad period with all these players, all these possibilities that Potter can pick, then he's going to get, kicked to the side to try out one of these new toys.
Yeah, I think that's what's been happening. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen between now and end of the season.
When's Kante back?
He's back in full team training.
Yeah.
So did he coach yesterday?
He trained with the team.
Kante.
Yeah. He trained. So he might play against Dortmund. I don't think there's any point playing him against Leeds.
So getting him back could like bring things together a little bit more. I mean, he won't be a complete fix.
This is like every small little thing. Oh, Reece James probably back. Oh, and Chilwell's probably back. Oh, man, we're getting João Felix. You remember João Felix? Yeah. So everything seems like a Hail Mary. Nothing's really turned out as one.
I don't think you're going to be terrible forever, though. And I know I have thought that for a lot of weeks, and you keep being terrible.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to just never win a game between now and the end of the season. I think someone's going to catch a real whooping from you guys at some point.
but why? But why you think they keep Potter? Like, it makes almost no sense why they keep him as the coach, as a manager.
I think there's a couple of things. So the ownership group, they've come in, they made an unforced error sacking Tuchel. Went behind every footballing logic.
It was a forced error. They forced it.
Yeah. But it was like they didn't need to. Nobody.
That was like
they went really out of their way to make this
That was
mistake.
an own goal.
Yeah. That was an own goal, right? So, like, nobody in the fan base wanted it. The results were not sackable bad. I think we had a couple of bad weeks. The team was shocked. Like, it came completely out of the blue for the team. He had the confidence of the team. So when you do all that, and then, put your eggs in somebody's basket, which they did with Graham Potter, it's kind of a referendum on you. Like, you got to make this work, and then you go ahead and spend on the 300 million on his players, his recruitment team's players. And so that's like from, what I can guess from like a psychological point of view, what's going on. Also on a financial point of view. They gave him a 12 million a year contract over 5 years. So paying him out 16 million isn't going to be easy.
Yeah.
And this is a payout that has to happen right away. You can't amortize this over like 8-9 years, which they did with some of these transfers. So this is a big FFP problem if they actually sack him.
I didn't know
he's scamming. He's been scamming you all along. He's like, I'm gonna.
I didn't know. Yeah, exactly. I didn't know that you pay him so much money. Now it makes perfect sense. He wants to get fired.
I mean, he was earning 2 million.
That's an easy 60 mil, isn't it? To make.
I mean, he was earning 2 million a year at Brighton. That's 30 years of being Brighton manager.
That's a lot of money for someone like Graham Potter.
So,
you're getting grifted. You're getting grifted.
Unproven manager because he hasn't won anything ever.
You paid him money like he won some shit before.
Hey. He's won the 2nd and 3rd division in Sweden.
As he will remind you.
You know what?
That's unheard of.
Respect. I didn't know that. Now that I know.
Is he making more money than Ten Hag at United? Probably.
Almost certainly.
I wouldn't be. He's making more money than Tuchel at Chelsea. Tuchel's making 8 million a year. This guy's making 12 million.
Yeah.
So
who's his agent?
I don't think he needed it. That's what I'm saying. This was such an unforced error. Like, you didn't need to put him on a 12 million a year, 5-year contract. You did stuff.
He would have taken the job for $1 million because it's Chelsea.
Yeah.
He's like, this is
you
a step
should have
up,
gotten him at
and
a
I got to
discount.
prove myself. Yeah. He's like, hey, I'll leave. I'll do it for free.
Now he doesn't need to prove himself because he's set for life. So makes sense, yeah.
I mean, I don't think that makes a difference from Potter's point of view. I think he's a professional, so he's probably trying to do his best. He's just not.
You think
it shows.
Yeah, he's probably I find it tough for him to be like recreating the scene from Breaking Bad with his buddy sitting on a whole mountain of cash.
Maybe he's doubling up and betting on his team's losses. You never know.
Yeah.
Man City has a tough kind of game coming up this weekend. They're playing Newcastle. It is at the Etihad, but Newcastle is just coming off the loss at Wembley. But now they got even more experience, like in a big game like that, and seeing what it takes. And Newcastle has been playing like they were in the top 4. They're 5th now, and they've been playing everybody really tough. Like you said last week, like the United beating them in the Carabao Cup. They're not an easy team to beat.
Yeah.
So,
but they're in a slump. Recently, they're in a slump. That's why they're
call
fifth.
It a slump like
I think
ties.
They didn't win. Yeah, ties, but costly ties.
And one loss in a.
Because they were at some point 3rd, right?
Compared to the form, they were in, they've definitely dipped off. But I mean, Nick Pope's back. I think that would be big for them because he's going to be a busy guy against City.
So no Karius against City?
No. Newcastle fans would be praying.
It would have been Dubravka, I think.
Yeah.
And they have the best defense in the league. So, I mean, that's a part of their squad that's been doing really well.
Right.
And going forward, obviously, I mean, it's not like they spend a lot of money. I feel they're anyway ahead of track what the new ownership would have expected. So even if they get that Europa League spot, I think it's a great season for them.
Yeah.
I don't see them making top 4 right now.
Yeah. I think they'll finish top 6.
Yeah.
Whether they're not, it depends on the form of the likes of Tottenham as to whether or not they can, and whether Liverpool creep back up there, whether they can hold that position or get in that position. But I mean,
I think it'll be like Tottenham, Liverpool for that final top 4 spot.
Yeah, agree. Although Eddie Howe, unlike Potter, he really proved his worth. I mean, outside of the club that was like overachieving in a lot of ways, but also when you look at Brighton right now and Brighton under Potter, everybody was saying that it's because of the Potter that are overachieving and they're doing so great, but now they're doing even better. And Potter is not there anymore, so
I think
there
that's
might
a little
be
disrespectful though, because like he got them to the point where, because if you look at what Brighton were pre-Potter, where they were sort of flirting with relegation to where they are now, I think he deserves credit for getting him into that spot. De Zerbi has come in and pushed them further. I think that's.
But it's also interesting that the problem.
De Zerbi's benefiting from what Potter did previous.
Didn't Potter leave and they were 4th in the league?
No,
they were high up.
They were high, but that was always a false position.
I know, but they were 4th and they're 6th or 7th now. So
okay. But also one thing was under Potter, they had problems finishing, and they had like the highest ratio of missed chances, and that's the same thing.
Yeah, they were the
Chelsea.
XG kings, right? Like
so it's almost like there's some offensive error with Potter-led teams, because he's the second team when he has that problem that his team is not scoring goals, playing probably in some games not even that bad, like against Dortmund, but not scoring goals.
Although what I would say is before Potter left, so in that spell Potter was at Brighton this season, he had Mitoma, but Mitoma was on the bench a lot of times. He was feeling his way into Premier League football, and then since the Zerbi's gone in, he's now more comfortable. He's now starting most games, and he's the player they were missing, I think, under Potter a lot of times, because he's the best finisher at the club, it seems.
Also, I think, I used to think at Brighton, his problem was like they didn't have that caliber of players up front, right? So with better players, you expect that to change a little bit. But at Chelsea, what I'm saying is, it's almost like they're trying to score the perfect goal. And in Premier League, you need to be fast and precise and direct, right? So it's probably something, you're right, like it's probably something really fundamental to his principles, his coaching, that'll keep racking up XG and not enough goals.
Who are you talking about?
Potter.
But I've watched a lot of Chelsea games before he got there.
Yeah.
And you had this problem under Lampard. You kind of had, like, even with Tuchel there, and you went in the Champions League, there were moments when, and there's a reason, like Werner won the Champions League, guys, with you, and then left after because he couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, even with Tuchel, and Havertz is still having that same issue now. Havertz plays like me in an audition. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I'm home rehearsing, I'm good. But then when I have to go in and do that shit in front of people, I start flubbing the lines and losing my composure. This nervousness sneaks in right at the moment. You're supposed to put the ball in the back of the net or say the line that's going to get you to audition, and have everybody run in the room going, this him, he's the person. And that's how Havertz,
the auditions in Germany were far better.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I agree, but I think there were levels to it, right? Like, we scored 70 goals under Lampard. We scored 76 goals under Tuchel. We are on track to score...
You could have scored 140 under both.
Yeah, but right now we're on track to score 34 goals. That's the second lowest in the history of First Division for Chelsea.
But the season didn't start with like, how many games did Tuchel coach out of those 34 goals?
I know that he scored 2 goals against us.
Tuchel got fired 6 games into the season?
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
He did.
He got fired in September.
I know he scored 2 goals against us. There was this 2-2 game. Famous 2-2 game when him and Conte got into each other faces after the game. He twisted his arm or something, right? That was the game. Yeah. And they started fighting a little bit. Yeah, it's very interesting, but look also at Chelsea. It when you won titles, when you won Champions Leagues, you had this big guy up front. At first Drogba, then you had Diego Costa, right?
Yeah.
So you never replaced on that position. I think it's crucial for your style of playing, probably, to have a guy like that.
I mean, our main striker last season, the guy we bought, Lukaku, scored I think 6 or 7 Premier League goals. But we still got 76 goals as a team. So my point is, like, as a manager, if one piece isn't working, you still got to work around it and make it happen. It's still, like, right now what's happening is historically bad.
Yeah, but also look, when you have a big guy up front, it's not only him scoring goals, but he can create some space, make some passes, he can back off the defender. Havertz is not that guy at all.
But I mean, is that the style that Chelsea's even trying to play, or you just bringing up like?
No, but you have to have that. I mean,
Potter
right?
has Aubameyang available to him. He's choosing not to play. That's also a choice that he's making.
Yep.
But maybe Aubameyang doesn't fit his style, and Aubameyang got there before Potter got there. That was Tuchel. So it's like, if you look at the style of players that Chelsea has brought in, they're all like face the goal and rush at the goal style players. There's no back to the goal.
Yeah, and that's predictable. You gotta have few ways of playing games. Otherwise, if you have just one plan for every game, that it's very, very easy to counter.
Let's get off Chelsea, because I feel like Martin is kind of using this to avoid talking about Spurs.
No, I'm pretty happy. We just beat Chelsea.
You just beat Chelsea, but you just lost to. But before we even get to that, one of the big games of this weekend, and we can talk about Man United just beating West Ham in the FA Cup. But Man United, after we've had played 3.5 games every 3 days. or we played a game every 3.5 days, and we had a kind of a mini big rotation yesterday against West Ham, and what I got from the game is what I knew from the game. It's like our first team is levels above like some of our subs that come in to like relieve some of the first team players. So we have to improve on that in the summertime, because like even though if I go to that game, like we had possession, but West Ham would get some fast breaks on us and create better, clearer chances, which David De Gea made a few critical saves and stopped those. But you could see Lindelof and Maguire get exposed. We're having a high line, and then we spent so much time them passing the ball around the back, not being able to pass through the lines, which Martinez can do when he starts and he's in there, and Varane. And it's like, I don't know what happened to Maguire. I know he has I know a lot of people are being hard on him, but I know when you don't play a lot and you haven't been playing good and they took your job and you get in, you just don't want to make any mistakes. So he does this thing where he makes the easy lateral pass, and then the person he passes the ball to, he's pointing to who they should point it to pass the ball to. Like, he doesn't want that shit back. It's a hot potato to him. So he's in his head mentally, because I just remember the Maguire who would take the ball, not only sometimes just pass through the lines, especially for England, like dribble.
Drive out with it.
And I was like, we didn't even know he could do that until he played for England the time that they made it to the semifinals against Croatia. That World Cup run, it was like, all right, we got a decent player here. You know? So
I think he's just low on confidence. Obviously, he's been out of the team and stuff, and I think that affects him. And I think he needs to leave for his own sake in the summer and play in a team that suits him more. Like, I think in the window he was linked with Villa, and that probably would have been a better level for him. But I think we spoke about this on the last podcast where we talked about De Jong, obviously not wanting to join you last summer, and how I think, you know, as long as you get Champions League football this year, I think you'll plug those gaps in your squad, because players will want to come to Man United now. Man United's a different proposition now. I think it'll be the same for Arsenal too, because previously your two clubs who had been, you know, I mean, you had been a little bit more consistent than Arsenal in terms of you'd got Champions League finishes, whereas Arsenal haven't for ages. Whereas players will be looking at you guys now going, yeah, I want to go there. They've got a stable manager. They've got a good manager. They've got exciting players there. I want to go be part of that. Whereas previously, I think players looked at United and went,
right. And then they could, and I'm sure if the players from Man United who leaked that stuff into the press would say that stuff to members of other teams who are they friends with, and they would hear about how shitty and awful it is being at United. But now, when you look at Man United from the outside, if you're a player from another team, you're like, those guys are having a fucking party over there, and I want to be a part of that party. And then, like, look at that mentality. They like, that's like, you know, so based on what you're saying, it's like when you see like a group having a good time and accomplishing things, and like the hard work is fun, and you're winning shit, like you want to be a part of that. Like, and you know, there's these cliche things people say, like you have to be in Champions League to get Champions League players, but we got Casemiro without that.
Yeah, you know? I think you threw enough money at him to get him, and also you benefited from the fact that he had been at the same club for a long time, and he it sounds like he wanted a new challenge.
It still defies the cliche. Like somebody that just won 5 Champions League is like, come over there.
But it definitely makes it easier to get good players when you're in that, especially younger players.
I think it's the history of Man United. Like, it's still Man United. So it doesn't apply.
And also, he's a good coach, a good manager who won things. You know, he got to the semifinals of the Champions League. You know, once.
There was no guarantees he was going to be a success at United, because United had been a bit of a shit show.
But it seems like they made the right. I mean, it looks it's a fact. It looks like they made the right choice.
Absolutely.
But with Casemiro, I've heard the discussion. I think it was between either Guardian experts or Sky Sports that he's the player of the season in the Premier League, and it's a good argument for it, actually.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that, but I still think Haaland and goals.
I mean, if they ever have the balls to actually give it to a non-forward, I would vote for Casemiro too. But
it's going to take a lot of balls to give it to someone other than the guy who has, I think, 25 goals right now, and there's 14 games left in the season. Like, the good thing about Casemiro, he's also scoring goals. You know, like not just
important
breaking up
goals.
plays. He's scoring goals.
He looks like Roy Keane at his prime.
He had one disallowed, didn't he, against West Ham? The header, he was offside.
Right. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, the one I did like though was the other cross that came in, that went in off the own goal, and Weghorst wheeled away like he scored it.
Yeah.
He was miles away from it. He still ran away with his arm up. Like,
And that's the one position actually Weghorst that I think that you can still improve. Yeah. And like you can get better.
He's doing a job though. He's working hard.
He's playing like this.
I wouldn't
he's playing like this false 9.5. Like he's neither a 9 nor a 10. He's getting other people into play.
He can press well for a big guy as well. He's making tackles. He's made more tackles than he's had shots on target for United so far since he's been there.
Yeah.
That's why.
What's that Burnley DNA?
But that's why I also think the media is lazy when I see these Harry Kane linked to Man United, and they just keep doing it. It's not even fading, and it's like, do you see what Weghorst is doing? That's what we need someone to do, not to drop back and not do that. Like this is a different style of play, and Harry Kane scores goals, but you can't just like watch football every week, see how we play, and just be like, ignore it, and just pick this big name and write an article after article to say he's going to be on this team and this is what Man United needs to do next year. Plus we have Pelistri. Like we might not have to buy anybody.
What do you think, guys? By the way, there could be a good moment for both Chelsea and Man U. What do you think of Mitrovic? You think he's a guy who could be?
He's more suited than Kane.
Would you take him, Neil?
No.
Why?
I mean, I don't want to.
That's that snobbery. That's the snobbery that got you in what place?
I thought you have something against Brazilians, against Serbians too.
See, that's that bullshit. That's that Chelsea. Let me go back to.
I mean, my point is like, I don't think he pushes the. I think he's going to be good like as a backup striker, somebody like a Loic Remy in his past. Like if you want to go a different style of football for certain games, certain opposition,
he would get you 20 goals. A season, man.
You know, I've seen like...
Or Chelsea would ruin him like they've ruined everyone else recently.
Yeah, I mean, if Lukaku couldn't get us 20 goals a season, I don't think Mitrovic is.
Chelsea turned 20-goal-a-season strikers into 5-goal-a-season strikers.
Yeah, so... I'm not that swayed by Mitrovic. I don't mind him like as a... Like his style, I don't want that to be plan A for our team.
But what's the difference between his style and...
Drogba and Diego Costa, yeah.
No, Drogba and Diego Costa are very all-round strikers. Like they could actually dribble and create for somebody else. Like some of the assists that Costa's got for Hazard or Pedro, for example. You're not going to get that kind of all-round team play with somebody.
But you don't know because Mitrovic doesn't have those type of players, those caliber of players.
Fulham play football though, like
they play real football.
Yeah, Marco Silva's a good coach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's as I said, I'll still take him. Like if I have to go into a season, I think
would you rather take Tony?
Even Tony?
This is why
I think I'd actually take even Tony.
Bro, if we're heading you in the table and we're Manchester United, and we took Weghorst from Burnley, a team that got relegated, why wouldn't Chelsea take Mitrovic? It doesn't make any sense. Even if
I would take him, but I wouldn't have him as my starting striker. That's all I'm saying.
He would only be your starting striker right now.
Maybe for like half a season, but I won't get into a season.
Till you find somebody who's better than him.
But to your point, I don't think even United is going to head into next season with Weghorst as their starting striker.
No, we're not. But that's the thing. Like you should be trying to do like we're out here plugging gaps. Like we needed a midfielder because Eriksen got hurt. So we like
as a plug.
So we'll get we got Sabitzer, and then you know even Eriksen was a plug. He's like we couldn't get like who we wanted. So we, and that's really helped us. And I think Chelsea should like look at that.
That makes sense. But
you know, I'm trying to find out how many goals he has.
I did see something interesting
on the
topic of Christian Eriksen, just saying that.
And he missed some games, but I think he has at least 10 goals.
With Christian Eriksen said that he managed to leave Spurs, die, come back to life, and he's won more trophies than Harry Kane now.
He said that?
No, there was a meme going around.
Come on, he's too nice of a guy.
So he managed to leave Spurs, die, come back to life, and win a trophy before Harry Kane.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. All of this.
Mitrovic has 11 goals, and he's had injuries.
Yeah, he's got a lot of injuries.
Kane's gonna join United, though. Ian, I hope you know.
I don't think
he's
so.
gonna join United next in the summer. Like,
nah, I don't think so.
Isn't he now just one more season away from his next contract?
Yeah, but he seems like a guy who will stay there till he's 35.
I think he's accepted mediocrity now at this point.
I think he knows that the clock's ticking, and
he's a club legend, man. He's got more.
And I think he wants to
win.
stay in the Premier League to get that all-time record.
Yeah.
So that rules out
personal accolades is all he can aim for at this point.
Right. So if he has to go, because he knows he will always have this on him that he didn't win anything.
He might win something. We'll see.
And Daniel Levy would want to get some money before this contract runs out.
We can still win Champions League though.
After losing to Grimsby.
After losing to Grimsby.
Well,
Sheffield United.
It's what they call it. It's after the darkest is sunrises. You know. So.
I think with Spurs, it's never darkness. It's almost always twilight. Like
I would say,
lukewarm.
I would say, Neil, it's not the best timing for you to talk about it after.
No, for us it is darkness, so we can actually talk about the light after the darkness.
Oh no! So, don't even get me started. Listen, we're living in like Finland in the middle of winter right now. That's what we're living in, just perpetual darkness.
If we finish 4th, I'm very happy. If we finish 5th, that's okay. You know, I guess that's what the season is.
What do you guys think of Man United's chances versus Liverpool this weekend at Anfield?
I think you have a chance, and I think it's an important game. If you beat Liverpool, you have a chance to win the title. If you don't, you probably won't. So it's a pivotal game for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most confident you should be for a game at Anfield than you've been in the last like 5, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years maybe. Because I mean, obviously they got back on track against Wolves midweek with their win. And they've got players that can hurt you, but I think they might have one eye on the Real Madrid game as well, because they've got to try and they've got to try and redeem themselves in that game.
They'd be stupid to have an eye on the Real Madrid game though. Like that tie is done. They got to go away.
I mean, have you met Liverpool fans? Like the European comeback is like their thing. Like,
well, but this time they got to go away though.
Yeah.
So, and I actually feel like in the league they have actually been in great form. They got, I think, 4 wins and 1 draw in the last 5 games. So they're unbeaten, I guess, in their last 5.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's a given that United will go there and get something. Like they are improved, and they've still got big game players who can show up.
I mean, if you remove the Real Madrid game aside, I think these are 2 teams in good form.
Yeah.
That are facing each other. So.
And I said this last week. If you look at the stats of the Real Madrid game, Real Madrid only beat them as far as goals. Like before that, all the stats were even, which means it's just sometimes you have those games where one team puts away their chances, and then if you just look at the goals, it looks like the other team got trounced in all departments. But if you look at all the other
they
stats,
played the worst team they can play, because Liverpool's problems have been around that midfield, and Madrid have like this crazy technical, physical, they can play every sort of subplot in that midfield.
But I mean, Liverpool were good enough to go 2-0 up in 14 minutes against Real Madrid. They were good enough to do that. I think Darwin Núñez is starting to look a lot more effective now. He's become a little bit more clinical.
I'd fear him.
Salah's back scoring goals.
Van Dijk's back.
And Salah scores against United. I will root for United, of course, because I'm not gonna lie. Liverpool, I think, are the biggest threat to us to finish 4th. But so I hope United will do the job.
So you have an agenda.
I do, yeah.
Root for us,
I'm hedging my bets. I have Rashford and Salah in my fantasy team, and they're both in my team this weekend. So I hope that both of them score a hat-trick. That's my
both
hope.
of them score a hat-trick.
3-3, hat-trick for each.
I think Van Dijk coming back has been huge too for them. Like it's he's obviously not back to what he was at his best.
He just had a great game.
At least commanding leadership. Something we were talking about Casemiro with United. Liverpool seem to lack that. And I think they've gotten that back with Van Dijk.
He scored a key goal against the Wolves in the 70-something minute. 0-0. He scored a goal. That's what I like about him. He's not only commanding defense, but he scores those 4 or 5 goals a season, and it's important that you have a center back that can score some goals.
I feel like this match this weekend between Liverpool and Manchester United is going to be epic, because I think it was you that mentioned, and Martin mentioned, like, if there's ever a chance for United to beat Liverpool at Anfield, it is this weekend. Like, our confidence is high, and even if we go down a goal, we're going to fight. This is our progress so far. There's certain things teams need to become a top team. Yeah. And like technical ability, right, in modern day football, a plan and players that can fulfill that plan, and then there's grittiness. And we have the grittiness. Like, we don't have the technical ability in all departments. That's going to come next season when we in the transfer window we get some people in, and we have injuries now, but there's this, we don't want to ever lose a game feel that is like just really good to see about that. Like, this thing that is not really tangible is tangible now. We could see it in the team, and we knew it wasn't in the team the last few seasons. Even when we came second, we know that was like a fake second, because Liverpool was had the entire defense was injured, and then as soon as we got close to Man City, they pulled away and we started losing. But now we were like, and then the way we're doing it's just perfect for us. So I feel I just want to see this game. I'm gonna even try to watch this as a neutral because it's a free game.
What time's the game?
Let me look at it.
It's the late game. It's 8:30 on Sunday, I think.
They usually play early, the Liverpool United games, because they don't want those two sets of fans
if it's 8:30,
having all day to drink. That's not usually.
Don't fall asleep. If it's 8:30, I'm coming.
8:30 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Okay, great.
That's not too bad. That's the that'll be a 4:30 game back home. Yeah, they are giving them more time to drink than I thought they would.
So we're watching 3 of us on Sunday. It's not 5:30. There's a chance.
Yeah,
Lee, there's a chance.
Yeah, Lee's staying at the house. So at least he'll wake up if I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's it. Yeah.
That's the hope.
Not gonna get lost.
Message me. Don't message Ian. Message me, and I'll come let you in.
It'd be funny if you still have to stay outside and not even have leave for company.
Do the viewers know what happened on that?
Yeah.
We covered it. Yeah,
we covered it on the pod, Mark.
Yeah, I talked about our little Starbucks date.
Yeah, we had a little Starbucks date.
So Martin, you don't feel no way about you losing in the FA Cup final to Sheffield? Is it Sheffield United?
No, I don't care about that game. I'm a little bit worried about the Wolves.
Why
game.
don't you care about your only chance to win a title this season?
I don't know. I know
that's never been on the menu.
No, we won some cups, but it's the last thing we won. It was actually a cup in 2006 or something. I don't know. I know it's a big thing. Yeah, I know. Big thing in UK winning cups. I just never got a habit of following cup games.
So. But what's big to you? Like what do you want to win?
I want us to finish top 4,
secure top 4,
and I want us to get as far as possible in the Champions League. Hopefully semifinals. That will be great if we can do that.
You might not be in it next week.
We might not. We have to beat Milan. Listen, and Milan have Zlatan practicing with his son, which is pretty epic. Which is what LeBron wanted to do in the
face
NBA.
2 Zlatans.
2 Zlatans. Hilarious. So Lee.
Yeah.
So Southampton, right? You just lost to Grimsby. My bad, Grimsby.
No one knows who they are.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's such a foreign name that it takes multiple times to actually say the shit right.
Yeah. It's funny because I used to, in a Football Manager, Championship Manager, I used to manage Grimsby out of 4th league.
Yeah, that's what they're in right now. Yeah. The thing is, they're not even flying high in that division. They are 16th in League 2.
But they saw Southampton on the plate, and they was like, they put a napkin and got some knives, banged the table.
I can't even say anything. We lost to Southampton. Yeah. So
they played.
That's funny.
They've played well in the FA Cup this year. They've knocked some teams out. They haven't knocked any Premier League teams out, but they knocked Luton out in the last round, who were a decent Championship team. So they're basically just going after all of Nathan Jones's ex-clubs.
So let me ask you, but that's my thing. If you're Nathan Jones and you're like, you fired me so that you could lose to Grimsby, Like,
but you could also say we fired you so we could beat Chelsea.
I beat Man, but then you could say I beat Man City. Fuck Chelsea. Chelsea doing shit.
But
anybody could beat Chelsea.
We can turn around and say you lost horribly to Brentford. You lost horribly to Nottingham Forest.
We lost horribly to Brentford.
Yeah, there's no.
I don't think there's any game Nathan Jones winning. Like,
there's no case for keeping Nathan Jones. The Man City game was a complete anomaly.
How many games have you won since you fired him?
The same amount. No, we've won more Premier League games since firing him than when he was there. One, which is more than he ever. Oh no, it's level. He beat Everton.
I think his misfortune that he couldn't get to play.
But he won a 6-pointer.
Well, Chelsea's the only team we've taken 6 actual points off this season.
but you know what's
either side of Nathan Jones, right?
Yeah.
But you know what's the strangest thing? The strangest things about Southampton is that you only win if Ward-Prowse scores from the free kick, pretty much, right? Pretty much. That's like the only time you win.
It's all we've got. And that's the worst thing is, like, we made 9 changes for this game, so we rotated, and it was a chance to give a bunch of guys.
What does this guy think? Your coach think he's Graham Potter? Making all those rotations.
I think it was. I think he put. I mean, the players who played, there was a lot of experience in the team because we've got a really bloated. We've got 30 senior first team players right now, and that's because of poor recruitment.
But let me ask you this, and we talked about it in private when we were in Starbucks, as a matter of fact. You were very happy about them bringing those Croatia players, and they're not even on the bench. Like, what's going on?
They both played against Grimsby.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Orsic had one chance where he didn't hit the target. Kaletakar, he scored, but he also gave away a penalty, which wasn't really it was a soft penalty in my opinion, but. We're just not good. We've got some good players, but none of them are playing well. We don't look like ever scoring. We're just lacking in belief, I think, and it's crazy because we have the occasional game that gives me a little bit of hope. Like when we beat Everton, I was like, here we go. We're going to get some wins now. We've beaten a relegation rival. We got confidence, and then we were terrible. And then we beat Chelsea. I'm like, okay, we've beaten
Ward-Prowse again.
An expensively assembled team. Yeah,
you need a new manager bounce. That's what you need.
Well, we need to sack a manager every week then, because we can't win back-to-back games. We beat Chelsea, then we went and lost to Leeds. Like we can't get these back-to-back wins, and that's why we play Leicester this week. And I won't feel anything if we beat Leicester, because I know we won't win the next game because we never win 2 games in a row, and that's what's going to send us down.
Your attitude.
Yeah, I've acknowledged we are done. My attitude doesn't affect what happens on the pitch.
What do you think of the fact that they gave the permanent job to the manager?
I think it was too hasty.
Too hasty.
Yeah. We after one game, like let's see. We had Leeds the next week.
That's how much the board hated Nathan Jones that they gave the interim coach the job like one game after after one.
Or maybe they just thought, this guy, he'll be good in the Championship. We'll just give him the job now because he's probably going to stick with us. Whereas if they hired someone, that someone probably, depending on who it is, they'd probably either leave if we went down or maybe.
But do you think, Lee, you would be better off if you didn't make any changes? Have you just kept Hudson till the end of the season and run the ship with him?
No, we should have got rid of him in the summer. I've always said that. I mean, but you keep.
But what if
what
if you'd have kept Hudson and made the buys that you made in the transfer window? You don't think maybe you'd be doing a little bit better?
No, all the players hated him in the summer. They wanted him gone in the summer because he had stopped doing what made him good. If we still had 2018 Hasenhüttl, great, I would have kept him, but this was different. He had lost all enthusiasm for the job. He wasn't communicating with the players. He'd become really withdrawn. He had to go, and they should have ripped the band-aid off in the summer, let a new manager come in and build with pre-season, and this has been their indecision that's caused this. And then they got it wrong hiring Jones. It's the board's problem, like from start to finish. Since they've come in, they've made bad decisions. And
you got Leicester this weekend. Yeah, your board stinks.
Yeah,
your board definitely stinks.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
And some players that I really like are out of form. Peter Walker-Peters is not the same guy, right?
He's been injured a lot of the season. He hasn't played much.
Redmond, I think he dipped this year.
No, we sold him.
Oh, you sold him?
Yeah, he plays for Besiktas now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got rid of him. We've had Livramento's been injured.
Yeah.
Obviously, Broja went back to Chelsea. He was
Romeo. You got rid of him too, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to see him go. He was experienced. He was a leader. But I think it was sort of part of, because he went to Girona in Spain, who are part of the Man City group, and I think that was part of one of the deals because we were signing all the kids from City, and there was something involved there. But I mean, yeah, he was a leader. And just losing that goal scorer, like I say, we had Broja last season who he scored double figures for us, Ings before that.
And who was the tall centre back that you had for years? Vestergaard, right?
No, we sold him at the right time because he's done nothing since he went to Leicester. He's been injured the whole time. That was a good decision to sell him. Same with Bertrand. We sold Bertrand and Vestergaard to Leicester, and they've done nothing since. So they had to go. It's just been we've not replaced people properly or correctly.
Let's say if you had Ings, but Ings is now scoring goals for West Ham, who are also trying to avoid relegation. That could be the difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have been I've been messing around with AI. They got all these AI Chat GPT. So I asked,
like Soccer GPT.
I typed into Chat GPT. Let me tell you what I typed in there. I said, let me see if I can find where I put this question. Is this it? I said, funny questions to ask guests on a soccer podcast about the Premier League and FA Cup games yesterday. That's what I asked ChatGPT. So ChatGPT came back with these questions, so I'm going to ask y'all. And I'm going to personalize some of them. And I tweaked some of the questions, but for the most part. So Martin, did you watch the games yesterday, or were you too busy rewatching Maradona's Hand of God goal on YouTube because you knew Spurs would lose?
Almost. I was busy watching Chelsea game.
What do you mean? They weren't on.
Huh?
Chelsea wasn't on.
No, I'm saying the rewatch.
Okay.
That's like Martin's porn right now.
The highlights.
Watching that game.
Highlights.
Yeah, Martin
Chelsea schedule.
Yeah, Martin just goes and watches Chelsea's old games from this season.
Was Conte there yesterday as your coach?
You know what? I didn't watch the game, so I'm not sure.
No,
the funny thing is that he got nominated for the best manager of the month, and he didn't manage a single game in the month.
Well, he did manage it. He managed it from home.
Yeah, you can say that.
Remote working. He was probably texting in. And it's not like he's banned. It was just an illness thing. So I'm sure he had an input.
Yeah.
Do you think the players are more relaxed when he's not there?
Maybe it probably helps.
Maybe they're intimidated. Like Emerson Royal.
Like the fullbacks, I mean, it definitely helps, like not having him in
They're definitely shook when Conte's on the side, especially when he's in yelling distance of them, if he's on that side of the pitch.
Yeah, because for 45, you're going to be getting him in your ear.
Especially
when you're on the wing back, because you're the only person on that side of the field as well.
But Emerson Royal, I think the City game built him up. I think he had a great game against Grealish in this game, and since then he went on the run of really good performances. And it's funny how the fans are on social media, because he was the most scrutinized player. I sometimes, looked at those Instagram posts after the game. Was like, Emerson out, Emerson should never play, Emerson is the worst player. And now it's Emerson the king, my Brazilian hero,
Well,
Emerson the best player.
That's good.
But that's all from your Twitter account.
The burden. Because I don't have Twitter, but
because you've despised him, you've disliked him, and he's made mistakes.
He's made mistakes. He's the different player right now. I think the assistant had balls to sit Son on the bench for 2 games, so that was interesting.
That's still Conte making that decision, though.
Yeah.
All right, this is another AI question. Either one of y'all could answer this. What do you think of the VAR system? Do you think it needs to be scrapped or improved?
It needs to either be scrapped or improved. Either go back to default settings or learn how to use the technology right.
I kind of like the way it gets used in the Champions League. It's a little bit less invasive.
Yeah,
they don't. It's not as full on, and I don't know. It just seems to function better there. There's less controversial calls there than there is in the Premier League. But I think with the Premier League, half of the problem is that it's still a human at the end of it. I mean, making a judgment call, and that's why that guy got fired after the Arsenal-Brentford game. He went into early retirement. Because there's still someone looking at it and going, I don't know, kind of thing, and then making a subjective call.
The same guys who made us use VAR because they were fucking up are calling the shots on VAR. So you just need you just need to pick the. It's just too much room for human error it has to be somehow just all computer.
No, I've got an idea. Instead of one guy watching that VAR, they should have five referees, and they've all got a voting button, and it will put the video up. They all sit and watch it, and then all 5 have to vote, and then there'll be a majority either way. That way, you get the call right. I mean, they're going to have to spend a lot of money putting. I mean, they don't pay referees much anyway. They can put 5.
But can you imagine
or five neutral fans in a room.
The number of 3-2 decisions that are gonna go, and then everybody's gonna be like, if you start actually live casting, so instead of actually saying VAR check complete goal, you say VAR check complete goal by 3-2. by a 3-2 margin. People are gonna go crazy.
Watch them debate.
It's just make someone make those final decisions. Let's say it's either to the referee or the person in front of the computer, because sometimes the referee chooses not to interact with the VAR. Sometimes VAR doesn't call something. It's just too many people making decisions. Just if you keep it, make it one person's decision. Either it's a referee who's making the decision, or it's additional referee who's in front of the monitor, and then the referee has to oblige.
I don't care about the semantics. I just want the people to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
Period.
But now it's too many deciding factors, because
I also don't understand how does precedent not work at all. Like, you see something at the beginning of the season is like a handball or is a foul or is a red card, but then the same thing later on. Like, I understand subjective, right? But if you're talking about these guys are making rules, these guys are adjudicating on things, right? So the rule of law would go by precedent, right? How do you not have that later on?
Because that's football. Because I remember there was that season where they were going to call holding in the box, like if there was a corner or a free kick. And in the beginning of the season, there was some penalties. Like, defenders were holding forwards. And then as the season went on, they just like, we're not going to call that. And
that makes no sense.
And it doesn't make no sense, but that's what they do with any new rule or thing. They enforce it at the beginning of the season, and then it falls off. And then, so any rule in VAR...
And I think like commentators also don't help, because a lot of these commentators are going to go and say like, oh, this red card ruined a big game. I'm like, dude, referees aren't supposed to look at a big game differently than they do.
The player did that.
Southampton versus... Yeah. So, it should just... The rules should be the rules.
There's just so many sayings and cliches that make it hard for the refs to do their jobs. So like that's a huge joint that you just said. AI wants to know, if you had to pick one player to represent your country in a game of rock, paper, scissors, who would it be?
But like, you mean for like country?
You don't even have to answer that one. That's just an AI trying to ask him.
I don't know. Things. That's
that's what gives me hope that we'll still have our jobs. Still gonna have boo-boos.
Okay.
This is another AI.
I have 2 countries. I have 2 passports. I would have problem choosing.
Here's another AI question. Did you have any snacks or drinks during the game, or did you forget to stock up and end up watching the game while starving?
I mean, we didn't take anything when we watched the game at yours, did we? I mean, me and Martin walked with our Starbucks.
With our Starbucks, yeah. AI do better. AI next.
Here's AI again. Who do you think would win in a dance-off between the managers of teams that played yesterday?
I mean, we saw Ten Hag dance, didn't we, after the Carabao Cup final? So, and they were some real dad moves. There was like dad at a wedding kind of vibes.
Yeah. I really want to hear Roy Keane. Like his comments on that, like I
heard them.
Yeah. What did he say?
He said you should be fired because they brought up the dancing, and Ten Hag was right there, and he said, you should be fired
dancing over a League Cup win, that should really rile Roy Keane up.
It would rile him up, but you have to think. You're Erik ten Hag, right?
No, I loved it.
You're coming from the Dutch league, and your first opportunity to win something in another league that's the superior league, you won. And I like to see my coach show all sides of humanity. Like he's been stiff and like direct, and then you see that he can have some fun, and you see what goes. It's like a glimpse of behind the scenes, and it shows you why the players like him, and you understand that he can connect with them, and he's just as giddy and happy as a fan. The fans connect with him. It's just so Roy Keane just said that because he's Roy Keane and he knows it would be funny.
He's playing a part, isn't
he? But I just think he just said it because he knew it would be funny, but he doesn't mean that.
It was a tradition as well, wasn't it? Because the two players he did it with was Anthony and
Martinez.
So and they used to do that when they would win stuff with Ajax.
Yeah, I want to see that dance all season. You feel me?
Yeah. You hope this isn't the only time you get to see that dance.
I want to see that dance some more. What was your favorite moment from the game yesterday? Was it the winning goal or something more bizarre, like a player accidentally scoring an own goal? Martin and Lee, it couldn't have been the winning goal.
I mean, I would say Garnacho's goal. Because that first touch, the way he just like the first touch just spun the ball in front of him, and then that finish into the corner was unreal. Like that was just clinical. Like just bam with a touch, bam with a finish. Perfect. Like he couldn't have done that any better.
There's something about Garnacho, and Anthony. But first of all, that was like an Anthony finish, and they had an extra moment of celebration between the two of them, and they're like close in age. And they also are most likely using the same barber/hair colorer. and if you look at their eyebrows are both have the design. So they're both using
they're spending a lot of time with each other.
They're spending a lot of time with each other. They're finishing
they're like on the
each
same
other.
cul-de-sac.
They're on the opposite sides of the pitch, and they're both South American. So there's a lot of shit going on there with two of them. So I just wanted to point them out. If you can have any player from yesterday's game on your fantasy team, who would it be? And don't say Messi or Ronaldo.
We can't have either of them in fantasy football.
Right.
I mean, is this a time when I should bring up fantasy football?
Yes, please. It's a good time.
I mean,
it's a great time.
It's the only time. It's the only place where you two are winning anything.
No, not us two.
Let's get the league up because unfortunately, Martin is top right now. He got 106 points. Which is pretty good. I mean, shout out to. There was only a handful of people that got over 100, so let's shout them out. So Martin in first place got 106 points, which is pretty good, but he didn't get the highest amount. The highest amount was Ahmad Zekri, who got 110. Jose Stable got 103. I got bang on 100. Thomas Moran got 102.
Damn.
So Jay Jaffrey, who is in 31st place, he got 105. So that's put him up a little bit. Ian, you're second bottom right now.
Damn.
You moved up.
Yeah, give me your phone later. Let me have a look at your team.
All right.
We can try.
Since you're here, How many points did I get?
Or ask Martin because he's top right now. So
no.
Martin's not going to give me any good advice.
I'm not going to
trust Martin.
You got 42 points.
Going to play Maguire.
Competitive. I'm not going to help him.
Yeah, you got 42 points. That wasn't that great. I mean, Neil got 70, so not a bad week for Neil.
Oh,
where's Neil at?
Neil is
He's passed, man.
In 30th place. You're in 33 out of 34.
Damn.
I am 13th. And Martin obviously is first, which is it's upsetting. He's only 3 points. He's only first by 3 points to Joachim Henriksen. Who's
I made one buy with Gakpo that didn't prove to be fruitful, and that's the only position where I could have bought better if I had Salah instead of him, probably. But it's okay. He might score next game. I like fantasy league. I even have a fantasy league. I even have a fantasy team on MLS fantasy league. Wow.
Speaking of MLS, should we talk about the game we're going to the weekend?
Oh yeah, we're going to the Timbers versus LAFC on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Three of us.
I don't know if you want to go.
You want to go?
I mean, I would love to go, but I think it's just too much of a drive again.
Right.
Also,
back to back.
It's 1 p.m., so it's not that much of a traffic, I would say.
Maybe I'll think about it.
And let me know. But we're is it the LAFC's first game of the season or no?
Yeah, because they cancelled the Rose Bowl game against Galaxy, because of the weather.
Okay.
I mean, I can't imagine it would have been fun sitting in the Rose Bowl.
It's in Pasadena. It's snowing. It was snowing in Pasadena.
And there's no cover, is there? It's a bowl. No, it's just open. So that weather, traffic's horrible there in the nice weather, isn't it, as well?
El Tráfico, that's what it's called, actually. El Tráfico.
So I think they've moved it to the 4th of July now. So that'll be a 4th of July game, which will be interesting. That'll be a big song and dance for that, I think. Yeah. So, probably a better time to have that game. It would have been fun as a season opening showpiece, but yeah, not in that weather. So yeah, it's LAFC's first game of the season. I'm looking forward to seeing Chiellini and Vea and people. And Timbers are always a good team. Every year they're always in the playoffs. So yeah, it'll be a really close one, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because the transfer window is still open. That there can still be some major signings.
Yeah,
I know that LAFC, they wanted to sign Aubameyang. It didn't go through.
They've got space for one more DP, haven't
they?
Yeah,
but
Bale
it still might.
retired.
It still might. You know, it depends.
Yeah,
it still might go through. We'll see.
Because that window is still open, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they'll get anyone before Saturday, but
is it this Saturday it closes?
No. It goes to, I think, the July 1st.
The game's on Saturday.
I think July 1st is when the window closes. Or I think there are two windows, actually. I think the one will close like at the end of March, and then it reopens, I think, in June, something like that.
I mean, I've been to a Galaxy game before. It was years ago. I went to a Galaxy game in 2016. And it was when Gerrard was there, and the atmosphere was a bit dead. Whereas I've heard and I've seen that LAFC games are lively. Yeah. And Portland should bring.
But
some
you know
energy
what?
as well.
I went to games. I used to go to Galaxy a lot. I used to go to games when they had Beckham, Robbie Keane, and Landon Donovan, and they won 2 titles. I think we went to one of those.
We went to one of the finals.
One of the finals together, and those were fun games. Those were fun crowds. Like David Beckham was definitely a player people came to watch.
Yeah, in the world at the time.
And he's still a good player at that point. Like, he was didn't come in for like a retirement.
He was gifted, because I did go to a LAFC game one time, me and Hugh Moore, and Beckham was playing, and he balled out.
You know what he did, and I think it's on YouTube, or it was on YouTube, and it wasn't advertised enough. But it was, I think, in his second season with Galaxy, he made a bet with his teammates that he will cross the ball from the top of the pitch to a specific suite in the stands, and he did. He put it right in the suit.
He did that in the live game?
No, in the training.
Okay.
And he put it right through the window.
That's not a good advertisement for the game. Like, if you could just have...
But he showed how, because obviously there's a lot of fake videos, but in this one he showed, and the players were going crazy. Like, it's impossible. That
if you're making bets in game, that's some Ivan Toney shit.
Oh yeah, Ivan Toney, like...
He's pled guilty.
Accepted.
So is he going to get banned? Do you think they made an arrangement for him to get banned next season? Or?
I don't know. Apparently, the rumor is Brentford want him sentenced ASAP because they're already having quite a good season,
right?
And they'd rather not
get it out of the way.
They feel they're safe now.
Yeah, they'd rather have it,
and they can't get relegated.
Have it done now. If it's going to be 3 or 4 months, and also if they have it now, it's a time thing. It's not a game thing. You can't get banned for games because previously the last player who got like a lengthy one was Joey Barton when he was at Burnley, and I think that was 10. I think it was 16 months reduced to 13 or 10 months, and it's a month's thing. So if he gets banned now, a lot of it will be the summer when there's no football. So that's why they want it now, because if you don't want him getting banned at the start of next season, because then it'll probably rule him out for most of the season.
Right. Although if he does move in the summer, you might as well get some playing time out of him now.
I don't think anyone would want to buy him now, though.
Oh, because of that?
Until it's decided what's going to happen. So I think for Brentford, what I've heard is that they want it settled as soon as possible.
Yeah, I don't think Brentford want to sell him. I don't think Brentford would sell him either. Not if they're smart. You got to be in this league and see what happens to teams without scorers.
Yeah.
You don't want to be one of those teams. Here's a last AI question. What's the weirdest dream you've ever had about a soccer game? Did you score the winning goal, or were you just watching from the stands and eating popcorn?
Martin's probably dreamt about Spurs winning trophies, which is a weird...
Yeah, I didn't have that dream. I dream about it in real time, and unfortunately it's worse. I think one time I had a crazy dream about being friends with Maradona and going with him to games, something like that, and so, sometimes the dreams are irrational. I think Maradona was still alive at the time, but it was Maradona in his prime and me and at the age when the dream was happening, and he would invite me to game, and I would go with Maradona to a game and would watch him from the stands, and then would leave out of the game. Yeah,
cocaine party afterwards.
I woke up before that.
You woke up before the coke.
Oh, the good stuff.
All right, that's the last AI question I had. I think we covered the league. We talked about Liverpool versus Manchester United. You guys play Wolves.
I'm a little bit worried about the game, but I think we should win. But I'm worried because they're still fighting for relegation. So And they're solid. They're a solid team.
And they got
Lopetegui's done a good job there.
Yeah. And then you guys got Leicester. That's like a team full of scorers, so good luck with that shit. They got what you ain't got. And you guys play Leeds. And I got to root for America's team, which is Leeds, even though they fired Jesse Marsh. So I'm going to definitely be sending all my positive energy against you. So
yeah,
where you at Leeds or you at home?
It doesn't matter.
I think you're at home. You're at home.
It doesn't matter. Full confidence doesn't matter. We lose anyway. It doesn't fucking matter. We come to your house and lose. You come to our house.
We have a very strong work ethic. Like, we hustling.
Neil's as pessimistic as I am. Right
we
now.
hustling, losing points. You know what I'm saying? We hustle backwards.
Yeah.
What's going on with Pulisic? Pulisic is...
Pulisic, Pulisic's also just back in team training.
Oh, so he can play against Arison and McKinney. That would be interesting.
I don't think he'll play right away because he just got back. But, what will be interesting is if we see some players appearing as preparation for the Dortmund game, because now that I have a feeling Potter's future hangs on that game. Like, if we lose that game, if we get knocked out, I think he's getting sacked the next day. That's the only thing to look forward to. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with the Leeds game.
But I was wondering why he's not getting sacked. It didn't make any sense to me, but now it does after what you said about his contract. Now it perfectly does. Yeah.
Shit, and that's...
I didn't know that.
With that logic, it's going to be hard to fire him at the end of the season. If he's done terrible after
I agree. Well, they've backed themselves into such a bad corner.
Is there any... Because sometimes they have...
How do you give somebody
clauses?
They have break clauses where it'll be like, if we sack you, we pay you for the rest of the season you're in plus one more. Sometimes there's things like that they do.
I don't think anybody drafting that contract up accounted for this kind of scenario. So
I'm sure there are private investigators trying to follow Potter if he can get into any kind of trouble in private time.
Give someone who's never proven himself on this level a $10 million raise?
That's unbelievable.
That's crazy, bro.
Unbelievable.
It's, I think once you make one bad decision, a lot of bad decisions can flow from it.
That's what I'm saying. You know what this means? That this is the type of decision making that Chelsea has to look forward to from here on. So this could be horrendous for y'all because you're already, everybody's expecting at some point y'all to get sanctioned for the FFP because of the amount of players you bought. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Chelsea.
We're definitely in an experimental phase. Of Chelsea.
Either your guys or the people who run that place, the board, is going to have to learn fast, or you guys could be in some real trouble. Like when we had a bad board, United, we spent a lot of money, made a lot of mistakes, and I feel like this is the area where y'all are at right now.
I feel like they've already learned quite a few things. They've put in structures in place that prevents bad decision making going forward. Like
getting Neymar for 100 million in the summer.
But I don't think Neymar's going to be 100 million. But before they could do any of that, they made such bad decisions that it's tough to that residual effects from that is gonna continue on for a while, and it's gonna reflect really badly on them.
But let me ask you, Neil, and I listen. I don't want to be. I don't want to be the guy.
Yes, you do. You're doing exactly what you're saying.
A little bit more.
You sound like you might as well say,
"I'm
not racist."
This seems like one of those bad
sentences. We made some bad decisions too, in the past. But let me ask you this: from all the people you bought, who you think was the worst transfer? You think Cucurella was the worst, or was a worse transfer than that?
I think the worst transfer was Aubameyang because it was done 2 days before Tuchel, or maybe a week before Tuchel got fired.
Well, so you signed him for Tuchel.
For Tuchel,
so and then gave him a week.
In hindsight, I don't think in isolation any of those were bad, considering that's the player Tuchel wanted, and they all made sense in the Tuchel system.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he actually got rid of the guy right after, and didn't So then it didn't make any sense. So.
It didn't give him a chance to work with the player that they signed specifically for him.
Yeah.
Because for Cucurella, you spent
60
Mine really hates Cucurella. I don't know what he's done to you.
He's a good player.
I don't fancy Cucurella a lot too. Because
he's an okay player. I don't think he's...
I think Koulibaly's been worse than Cucurella.
Yeah, Koulibaly, especially with what we expect from a player like him.
Like experience he's got. Yeah.
He scored some goals though, Koulibaly.
Yeah.
Scored some goals.
How old is Koulibaly?
I think 31.
Officially 31,
32.
But you know how it is with African
players. He plays
players.
like a 31-year-old.
Yeah, that was always going to be the danger with Koulibaly, because a lot of his game is based on athleticism and pace, and that can really like go down a hill at that age. So
especially then a lot of African players, they really have, and I know that from a fact because I used to cover African football in my 20s when I worked as a reporter, and I went to African Nations Cup twice. They really changed their date of birth by like they lie by like 4, 5, 6 years often. You
so
know,
you're saying Koulibaly's
he could be 37. He could be 37. Yeah.
Oh, wait, but isn't there a way once you get to Europe, like these guys have the state of the art medical facilities, right? When you do a medical, don't they like
but
go into your
the
jaw?
birth certificate
and
is the birth certificate, and some of the players, if you look at some African players, some of them tailed off in like at the age of 27, 28, started aging like fast, and because in real, I knew one player, and we were laughing at it when I was still working, who was saying he was 21, but then I found out through a friend in Nigeria that he played in the league 20 years before already, you know?
20?
Yeah.
Who was that?
So he was really like 40 years old.
You have to say his name.
His name was Adu something. That was in Polish league. He was playing Polish league, but he was playing Nigerian league like 20 years before, and he was claiming to be 21. So that happens a lot with African players.
This week I saw some goalkeeper who's playing the under 18s for some African country. I think it was Sudan, but you can see his picture and tell that he's at least 35.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's what I'm saying.
No, but so I understand that happens like at lower levels.
But how old did he say he was?
He's playing under 18s.
Oh.
But
so Koulibaly could be
But I feel like once you get to Europe, right? You have like he's been to Napoli. He's at Chelsea. You get medicals done, right? Like so, I'm sure they.
But they get the birth certificate.
He's just playing like a 37-year-old. That's all.
Right.
But we need him. Silva's out for the next 2 weeks. So he's not going to be at Dortmund. We don't have Badiashile registered for Champions League. Yep. So it's going to be Koulibaly and Fofana, maybe Chalobah,
I've liked Badiashile as well. He's looked good so far.
He's been amazing. He's been actually probably our best signing. Yeah.
What position is he?
Centre back.
Centre back, all right. And what about the Fofana since he's come back from injury?
He's been okay. I think defensively we haven't had too many issues. Like as terrible a season that we're having, we're still the third best defense in the league. So I think it's been okay. Mm-hmm. We haven't been great, but our larger problems are elsewhere.
Scoring. All right, let's wrap this up. Anybody got any last digs or things to say? It was good to see y'all.
We should do this more often.
Yeah, we should do it more often probably, and force Aaron Brungardt, our producer, who would always love to be home with his beautiful daughter and family. For sure. It's been a minute since we've been in the studio.
Yeah. We took the longest pandemic break. Like we outlasted the pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't mind that because it meant I could be on every week. So
yeah.
I've enjoyed it. But no,
I think there's a way like from the studio to hook up.
Yeah, we did
Zoom,
it in
right?
the first week of pandemic. Ian was in the studio, I was on the Zoom.
Yeah, I think he can come on the monitor or something like that. Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's have fun at MLS game, I guess.
Yeah, let's have fun there on Saturday.
Are you guys all rooting for LAFC?
I am.
Yeah, I feel like I should, seeing as I'm in. I've been living in the city for the last week.
My friend is actually the starting center forward for Portland Timbers, so I'll definitely talk to him after the game. Hopefully he'll play because he's often injured, but when he plays, he scores goals, so he might score a goal. He's a big guy, the guy you need for Chelsea. It's a big center forward.
I'm open to the idea.
Chelsea's always open to getting another player.
Yeah, put him on a 20-year contract. Who cares?
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming in. It's great seeing y'all and shit. And Lee all the way from England. It's you driving from where you live in LA traffic
while taking pictures of the snow
longer than him flying here from England. So I appreciate
more stressful
that.
for sure.
More stressful, yeah. But I'm glad you got to see some snow-capped mountains and take some photos.
Absolutely.
You know, so while you're driving, Martin, good looking out. I mean,
good to see you guys. Yeah. Always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure, y'all.
It's a good time.
Thank y'all for listening. Love y'all. Be good, and we'll drop the next pod Sunday or Monday.